Okay, that's great. All right, again, welcome to the third session of our Goshin Jitsu. This one is the continuation of the previous ones that we've done. And where we left it last time was we were up to the kick, of course, unarmed. Right after the kicks, the unarmed section is finished, and we're to the armed section. In other words, we're just knife. Now, find that this is Kodokan Goshin Jitsu. If you don't remember the history of it, it was introduced in 1956, well after Kano Sensei passed away. So it was not like the other katas where Kano was the one developed and organized those katas. This one was done after he passed, and that's why it's called the Kodokan Goshin, as opposed to all the other katas which have a no kata end, that being like Nage no kata, Katame no kata, Kime no kata. Those are all done by Kano Sensei. Kodokan Goshin Jitsu was actually done at the Kodokan in Tokyo. I actually worked on from 1953 to about 19. So took them a little while, and that's why it is to reflect more current. In other words, that's why they introduced the gun and and those things. But it's still a kata. In other words, it's orchestrated or is predefined what the attacks are going to be and what the reactions are going to be. Out on the streets, it might be a totally different story. Out on the street, you could be easily stabbed before you knew what was going on. Out on the street, the guy is going to say, in other words, give me your wallet, as opposed to I'm going to get your wallet, those type of things. So it's not realistic in the sense of the street, but it's more indicative of what self-defense might look like for kata. And again, the whole to understand the principles of Goshin Jitsu. As I said, the general rule of thumb is not to get stabbed, not to get shot, not to get kicked, not to get hit, and that's all avoidance measures. So how do you avoid is one aspect of what you're trying to develop here, as well as how do you apply submissions, how do you apply locks, how do you apply wrist locks, how do you apply arm locks, how do you strike, particularly the strike. And that's why at the beginning we spent a lot of time working on actual striking actions, and trying to show that there's actually force in those strikes, as meaning, as they say. If a strike or attack doesn't have any meaning, then there's no need for defense because nothing to worry about. So ultimately, when you partner up with somebody, you're going to slowly start off slowly, because we don't want you to actually hit each other. But we do want you to start to ramp it up as you get more comfortable. Every partner is a little different size, different length, different speed. There's a whole bunch of different factors that you just have to get used to as your partner. Right? So at this stage here, we take it nice and slow. But when we watch the video, which we're going to do, we're going to play the whole video this time, the whole Goshin Jitsu, which is the 21 moves. You're going to see the little more, how would I say, fierceness, the more intensity of these attacks, and the more the need for avoidance. Again, there's a few times where your brain is a little slow and you don't avoid and you get hit. Well, you get hit once or twice, you'll be avoiding a lot faster next time. The thing is, you can't anticipate. You cannot anticipate by moving in advance, even though you know the pre-defined strike coming at you. You cannot anticipate that. So you have to show that it's very last moment before it hits you, you get out of the way. Okay, so anticipation is another issue. Okay. All right, so we're going to take a look at the video and
On mat number 3 from Brazil was simply and grab out Vitaly.
So remember that we were always attacking from the opposite side each time. We were changing from one side to the other. So on this one here, we would have done this after finishing off the last one, which was the left-hand punch. So on this one here, the kick, we have Tori, or okay, actually on this side, and then Tori on that side. So the last one is the opposite way. This one, again, we're approaching each other. So the first two steps are just to come within range, and then we're starting to get within the attacking distance here. For her on this one here, her attempt is to kick with the front foot into the groin area. Okay, it's kind of hard if we do it chunky, but basically, if I don't do anything, she's going to basically kick right me in the groin. Thank you. All right, so that's what her intent is. You know, so remember when we were practicing the strikes that this is a snap kick. So basically, the knee comes up and then the ball shoots forward. All right, it's not a thrust kick where you're lunging ahead. This is a snap kick. So if she comes up here, yeah, she's gonna be going for the groin. It's not the push one. All right, so on this one here, my avoidance is to again turn the body, turn it, tilt it back. You don't have to go all the way around, just enough to get all the way of this kick that's in this area here. As you do that, you want to cup underneath. So cup the ankle, get this part. The second part, flick, this hand. Some people more with the palm of the hand against the foot. Others will do it more just holding the edge of the foot. I prefer to go on the palm because then I can really push the whole foot ahead. What we're trying to do after avoiding is to push your partner back, but not to the point where the person's able to retain balance. Okay. So approach here, avoid, catch the foot, and then push it back. It's a okay.
That wasn't a good break ball.
Yeah. So what you're doing is after you avoid, cup the bottom of the ankle, get the foot, turn the foot counterclockwise. In other words, turn it to the left. Because of that, the person is not able to turn away from you. In other words, if I was to turn it this way, and I turn it this way, then she can escape by turning away from me and just do a zip or kaitan or something away from me. If I do the same thing the other way, this way, there's no way that she can escape unless you're doing, again, some sort of Jackie Chan kick in the head and twirl in the air and all that type of thing. But make sure that this foot is turned to the side. Now, when you're pushing ahead, it's not just with your hands. You want to use your body again, as we always say, use your whole body. The amount that you elevate that foot dictates how sort of hard this person will come down. If you really launch it up, then there's a good chance they're going to hit the back of their head onto the mat. So that's a precaution that you have to be aware of. But if you keep it down, and the person if they have good balance and stability, if I keep it down here, well, I could advance, and they could hop, and they can hop, and they can hop. We can go all the way off the mat. We don't want that because we have to stay in the mat for one thing, but as you're pushing, just elevate it just a hair up in the air, and that'll tip the person over. I'll tip the person over. Okay, so not only do you start to move with the person, but elevate it a notch, and then that's why the person will fall down. If you keep it low, then they'll just hop back. Okay? When you push, again, just ready to do a co-hold break fall, straight back, always keeping your chin tucked in so that you don't hit the back of your head. All right. Try not to hit the back of your head, but just be ready to do a co-hold break fall. Okay. So one more time here. We're at a 4-meter distance or so. We approach each other here. She kicks, push, push. There. Hard break fall. Any questions? After that, we just would alternate to the other side. Okay? And we'd be ready for the next one. All right, let's try that one. It's called My Geri. Geri, Geri, is actually a kick, as opposed to an Osoto Gari, which is a reap. Okay, just a fine point. Let's try that one out. All right, the last unarmed attack. And again, this time we flipped around, so we're on this side here. This time it's called Yoko Geri. And Yoko, as you know, is side. So you can anticipate something coming from the side. Again, if we're approaching each other and I don't do a thing, her objective is to kick me in the side. We used to have to kick low, but now the requirements for the kata competition is to kick high up in this area here, just above the belt. So you need a little more flexibility. To reach this position, you notice that Uke has to step sideways. She has to step out and then kick in. Yeah. And as we practiced before at the very beginning, this is a kick with the edge of the foot. So make sure that it's coming in with that edge. Okay, coming in with the edge. Yeah. Okay. So her direction of kick is actually coming from that angle coming in this way. All right. So that's what Uke is trying to do. From a Tori point of view, when she starts to do that, I actually want to have my right foot forward. Just in case, let's say I miss something and she kicks low, I got something solid here. If it was the other way around and I happen to miss this and she happened to my defense, then of course you're a little more vulnerable. So if you can, time it so that your right foot is going to be ahead when she's kicking. The other thing you're going to do is to deflect that kick. Obviously, you can't stop it, but you want to be able to deflect it as she's kicking. Remember, her direction of the kick is toward the angle. So if I deflect it, she's going to end up taking a larger step than she anticipated at angle. There. Remember, you're kicking this way. Kick, kick this way. So just pretend I'm there. Yeah. Okay. But she's pretty comfortable there. But when you actually swap that leg, then you end up with a little bit wider stance than you anticipated. This is really tippy for her, and which is good for me as a Tori, because after I deflect it, what I want to do is to get double hooks on the shoulder top and pull her back. I don't want to, I want her to land beside me, but the thinking and the real tradition of this is to try to pull her back onto your knee, her back on your knee, which is not good for her. Okay? But we don't do that here, so we will let her sit down beside us. Okay, so don't go here, go here. So as you do the double hook, okay, as you do the double hook, you're just dropping down on your back knee and just pulling this person down. Keeping your posture. Remember how you keep your posture? Look ahead. Don't look at her. Don't tip over. Here, you got posture again. Balance. Pull it back. Double hook on the hands. Pull her back. Okay. Pull, or, yeah, shoulder tops. Shoulder top. Pull her back. Okay. So if you do this quickly and you don't have quite the hooks on the shoulder top, then you know that this person is helping too much because they went their own. But again, have some intention to hit because Tori has to react to it. So here she kicks, then pull, then everything has meaning to it. Okay? Really try to kick the person. It's not block, it's just sweep the leg or deflect the leg away from you. So it'll go slightly behind you. And again, that's why the person will end up at this angle after missing the kick and then just pull her back. So when you pull her back, you'll actually be a little bit diagonal when you pull her back. Questions? Good? Okay. try that out. Again, you have to work out the spacing. You know, some people have longer legs. They might have to step a little further. Other people shorter legs, whatever. You have to work that out with your partner. That was the last unarmed attack. So now we're going to take a look at the weapons. The weapons are, again, standard. In terms of competition rules, they say that it has to be wooden. So we have wood, wood, and wood. We have 3 weapons, one being a knife. And again, it could be different colors, but as long as it's as long as it's wooden, that's good. You notice that there's a pointy end, and the blade edge is actually rounded for your safety. So it's rounded here with the uh, handle on this end. So this is the knife, and generally the blade is always upwards. You can see that blades are up. The stick, again, standard length is 1 meter or slightly less. If you want to check the length, you can just put it down on the tatami, and it would be your 1 meter tatami. In Japan, they don't have metric mats; they have the imperial, so their sticks are more like a yard, a little bit shorter than we have here. Sticks are again wooden, and there's different weight. These ones that I made were a little lighter; they're a little easier to handle. And if you get hit with one of these, it's not as bad as if you get hit with some of those hardwood ones. Okay, so standard stick. Gun, wooden gun. No wooden bullets in here, but there is a wooden gun. Some have the hole, which is representative of where you would have your finger. Some do not. But even with a hole, the message always is do not stick your finger in the hole. And when we get into the guns, you'll understand why. All right. So normally you would hold the gun without the finger in the hole. And again, that's going to be very important when we get into the guns. Okay, so these are 3 standard weapons. Sometimes in the old days, you saw a variety of guns. Some of them would look like space guns or laser guns or something like that. They were plastic and they were super long and so on. There are other ones that are more realistic, the heavy rubber kind that you might get in a martial arts store, those heavier ones. Those are, again, rubber, so they are not accepted in kata competitions. So these are your 3 weapons. When you have a weapon, the gun is normally placed inside your jacket such that it cannot be seen. If it sticks out a little bit and seen, then you should be tucking it in a little deeper. However, if you tuck it in too deep, then if it falls out that's not either. Right? You drop a gun, it's 5-point deduction in competition, which is fairly large. The other 2 held in your hand. Again, have the stick in one hand. It's generally held about 1/3 down from the end, so not in the middle and not at the end. Hold these. So about there. The other one is always on the inside of the stick. In other words, stick, knife, body. Up there. You would hold these together, and the knife blade should be always up, always up. When you're holding it, blade up. How high do you hold it? They say let your hand hang naturally, but in competitions, you always see a little bit of a crook, a bend in the elbow. So it's not up, not at the hip, not down in the leg, but just a little bit up here. Okay? That would be your standard grip of the 2 weapons here. When you do your opening bow, the trick is that you have to keep this at the same angle. So in other words, even though you're bowing forward, you don't see that thing go up. You have to try. Oh. Sorry. Okay, so do not do this. And that's pretty easy to see for judges. The trick is you have to try bend the body, but maintain the stick. Okay, so that's something you just have to keep practicing on. We'll do the whole opening ceremonies from an uke point of view. Remember, if Shomen is over there, uke is actually over here. We're backwards. We want Shomen there. Yeah, we want Shomen there. Because now, okay, you're going to be on this side. So at the very beginning of any of these matches, you're at the edge of the outside contest area. So in this case, the red area represents 8 meters by 8 meters. That's kind of standard. Higher competitions, it might be 10 meters, 10 by 10. In that case, you just have to take more steps to come into the tape. The tapes are standard. There's one in the center, and then there's one on each side here. They are 3 meters away from the center of the tape, center tape. And that's representing where you would bow in. When you bow, you never want to be on the tape, and you have to get used to trying to work the distances with your partner. In other words, you should look like a mirror image of each other when you're bowing in. Exact same timing, exact same posture, everything. The more you can look like a mirror of each other, the better your scores will be. So at the beginning of the match, when you start up in this area here after walking in, you have the tape there. So when you bow in, first of all, you always bow at the edge of the contest area. So that would be here. You're facing your partner. You bow here. And then take 2 small steps to get to the tape. 1, 2. Now remember, Shomen is over there. So we would face and turn to Shomen and bow once there. And then face each other and bow once here. That's the standard opening here. Now, the next thing is for uke to lay down the weapons. That's roughly about 3 meters from where I'm standing right now, roughly. So you step back with your right foot, turn, and walk with what we call suriyashi, toe walking. Keep your toes down on the ground as you're approaching to roughly about 3 meters. You would go down in a formal seiza position here. So 1, 2, dead toes. At this point here, you can change the angle because you're not supposed to hit the mat. So when you're getting down here, just you can lift up your arm a bit and try to retain the same angle. From this point here, 2 hands are used. I'll just try to turn a bit there. This is what you're going to just do. Put your second hand there and change your right hand so that you can have 2 on top. You're going to point it. Always remember the point is away from Shomen. So that's where you have to remember, am I turning it this way or am I turning it this way? Always point away, so that means I'm going to turn and this way. Okay, now I have the 2 on top. Turn back here. The first one you look down is the stick. There. And here. The difference between that should be about 1 fist. Okay. The difficulty with sometimes, because these are rounded, is that you don't want something different. It's not good. So if you happen to have a crack in the mat, then that's a nice notch to lay it down on, because then it doesn't roll. But before you release it, make sure it's not going to roll. Otherwise, you have to catch it. So 1 fist here, and then the gun will come out next. So take out the gun, 2 hands, lay it down, and this should be in alignment. This gun should be in alignment. Okay. Actually, it could be a little bit over. There. Once you lay that down, pop up into regular standing position and go back to your tape. And then from here, 1 step forward. Now you're in the action zone, right? This is where we have you step forward, and this is where the first part of the action starts. Okay? After each set, when I finish the knife attacks, I'll come back to the weapons. All right, so I go back and walk back here. Now, unlike the very opening one where you went double knee, this one here, you're just going down 1 knee. and you're just picking up the weapon again, 2 hands. Remember, the blade will be going upwards, so make sure that you turn it as you insert it, and then you can stand up and go back and so on. Okay, so there's a lot to remember there, but I want you to just work on the first opening bow part of it, where you can bow with your partner at the edge. Or in this case, just check how you're holding the weapon. Are you about a third up the shaft or down the shaft? Yeah, a third. And then you have the blade upwards on the inside between you, the stick, then the blade or knife, and then your body. So the knife should be on the inside. Everybody there? Okay, the point of the knife should be away from you. So in other words, toward the end of the stick and not pointing upwards. It should be pointing downward, the knife. Yeah, okay. Michael, you want to back up outside the contest area? Okay, now the funny thing with kata is that they assume you're all righties. So you should be holding it with your right hand. The blade points upwards. Yeah, okay, but remember it's on the inside of your stick. There. Yeah, everybody's on the inside, inside, yes. Point it, turn your knife the other way. Point it point backwards, yes. Point backwards. But David, up, turn the blade upwards too. Okay, blades up. Yeah, looks good, looks good. Okay, so remember the angle, it's about, 35, 45 degree angle. Yeah, okay, and it's just a little bit of a crook on the elbow, a little bit crook. Doesn't have to be high, not low, just kind of hanging down with just a little bend. Okay, you're at the edge of the mat area, right? Your toes are at the edge of the mat area. So you do one bow to each other. So right, yeah. Now take 2 steps to where you would have a tape, a white line. So,
Camera. That's not.
oh, my camera. Okay, then you would face Shomen.
This way.
Oh, there's half going that way, half coming this
sorry.
way.
Okay, yeah, sorry. The first 3 look that way. The first 3 closer to this side go this way.
No, this side you're turning this way.
Yeah.
That side you're turning that way, right?
George.
Okay. No, these guys are right. They're facing. They should be facing this way. That side should be facing that way. Okay, so you bow without moving the angle of the stick. Hey, face each other. Bow to each other. Good. Oh, interesting. I start to see some guns hanging out there. Make sure the gun is tucked inside. Oh, all right. At this point, you will be taking 1 step back, a little step back, and you're going to turn to your left direction. All right. You're going to then advance yourself 3 meters worth. So just move ahead. Walk, 3 meters. Sorry, David, you're right out of room. Okay. Then go down into full seiza position. Left knee down, right knee down, and then sit down. Okay, so left knee down, right knee down, flatten toes. Put 2 weapons right in front of your face, prop it up in front of you. All right, grab it with your left hand as well, underneath your right hand. Okay, grab it. Now, if you have it grabbed with your left hand, take your right hand and start to reach over top, turning your thumb downward. Okay, so now you should be able to have it horizontal. Make it horizontal with both your palms facing downwards. Lay the stick down you about 8 inches or whatever. Let's see. Let go of the stick, but between the knife, and drop it closer to your knees. Okay. The distance between the 2 weapons should be about 1 fist apart. You have that. Now you can take out the again with 2 hands, one holding the barrel, one holding the stock. It's facing away to your point of the blade should be away to the left side, as well as the gun barrel should be pointing to your left side. Okay? The blade will face you. Face you. Yeah. Blade will face you. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Now you've gotten rid of the weapons. So now you can pop up to your live toes, right foot, left foot, and then swing back, and you would be walking back to your tape, which was again 2 meters or 3 meters away from you. Once you're at that tape, then you would be just facing each other. You'd be facing each other, of course, with the weapons in the way. It's a little trouble now. So your heels are still together. Remember the pie? And then you take one stride forward where you're now shoulder width apart. And then we're ready for action. All right, that was the first part of it. So that's the opening ceremonies. After each sequence, what you would do is step back with your right foot and go back to that kneeling position that you were in front of your weapons. So just assume that you're walking back to your weapons and you're stopping and dropping down. Only this time with only one knee, your left knee goes down and you pick up a weapon. So in this first one, you would pick up the knife, pick it up with 2 hands, grab it with your right hand, slide it into your jacket with the blade upwards, slide it in far enough that it's hidden, and then you could stand up and then go back to your 1 meter ahead of the tape area. So after you remember you stepped in, that's where you're going to return to with the weapon. Okay, so when you did the bowing, you're at the toes at the tape. But remember, after you did your 1 step forward, all your attacks will be from this 1 meter ahead area, not back there. So this is again where we start off our usual 1, 2, and whatever. Okay.
Just for clarity, if there's only one set of weapons over here, they would be probably approximately there.
Yeah. If you were
Going on an angle back to that?
yes, yeah, you would go back to the angle. And again, when you're doing the weapons, just try to walk suryashi. In other words, keep the toes down when you're walking ahead. Okay.
When we leave the mat, it'll come right off.
When you're at the very end, after you get the weapons, you're going to come back to your 1 meter spot, because then from 1 meter here, you're going to step back behind the tape to do your closing bows.
Sorry. Let's pretend I haven't picked this up.
Yep. So when you finish your last attack, yep,
Am I coming
you would take your angle back,
same thing? Yep.
angle back, angle here. Okay. Okay. So you're at the edge of the contest area. You have your weapons in your right hand. You have it angled a bit, angled. All right. And you're holding the blade knife on the inside with the blade up and the point backwards. Okay. Then from there, you would bow to each other. 1 bow. And then you would approach each other 2 steps to get to the tape line. 1, 2, tape line. Then you would turn to showmen, which is to your left. Ray to showmen. Bow. Keep the weapons at your side all the time. Turn to face each other. Bow to each other. Again, keep the weapons at the same angle. Good. Now take a 1 little step back with your right foot and turn to your left and walk 3 meters worth away from that area. So left, right, left. Okay, once you stop, you should be in formal position. So in other words, your heels are still together. You go down on your left knee, then right knee. And dead toe, then put the weapon right in front of you. Grab it with both hands. Change your right hand around over top. Turn it horizontally and lay it down horizontally onto the mat. First the stick, then the knife. Once those are in place, then take out the gun and place it down 1 meter or 1 fist ahead. If you really have to reach too far, then you probably want to close up the space next time you do this one. All right, once you're there, then you would stand up live toes, pop up live toes. Yeah, and then your right knee, or right foot, and left foot. And then from there, you would return to the tape area. Okay, now let's assume that we're at the end now. So at the end, I want you to assume that you're going to, you would already have the gun actually in your jacket, but assume that you're just going to go back to pick them up. All right, so when you go back to pick them up, same idea. This time you go down on both knees. So just take a step back. Yes, take a step back and turn to your right and go down and do a full kneeling bow in front of, or kneeling position in front of your, what would actually be just the stick and the knife, but it's, yeah, that's a good idea. Just grab the gun because after the set, it would have been in your left, in your jacket still. Okay, now you pick up the weapons, the same type of thing as you did before. You want to have the, grab the knife, place it on top of the stick, 2 hands. Now start to pick it up and turn it so the point of the knife is downwards. And then grab it with your right hand and put it by your side. Put it by your right side. From there, you can go live toes, pop up, live toes. Then you put your right foot, left foot, and then turn and come back to the 1 meter ahead of the tape line. So you would have returned back to the 1 meter ahead of the tape line. Yeah, yeah, there, yeah. And your folks are there. Then take your 1 step back behind the tape. So 1 step back, get behind the tape. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so right back, yeah. Then from there, you bow to each other, your partner. You turn to showman, which is on your left. Bow there. And then face each other again. And then 2 half steps to get you to the outside of the contest area. So right, left, and then square should be just 2 steps. And then you bow there. Okay, good. That's the opening and closing ceremonies. All right. The first one, again, we're approaching each other. And what I start to see is that she's going to start to alt the weapon. So, weapon coming. So when she extracts it, it's actually going to step back and turn, but not turn again 90 degrees. We still want to have contact. So it's just a simple square turn here. And she's starting to extract. Okay. So as soon as I see that there's a knife involved here, I'm going to try and minimize the chances of you getting stabbed. So to do that, I'm going to do a tai sabaki to the right front corner. So I'm going to move to the front, control this elbow. So it's here.
For camera, we might actually should do.
No, we'll go both ways. All right, so from here, as soon as she starts to extract it, I'm going to go sideways so that's harder for her to stab me. Right, stab me.
Oh.
Yeah, a little farther, harder to go. Okay, so that's one thing. The other thing is that I'm going to stun her with my hand on the face. She's wearing glasses right now, but again, you never hit you never hit your partner. Never hit your partner, but you come close to hitting your partner. Remember, Uke is the one that gets to try to hit, and Tori has to avoid. When Tori tries to strike, he has to make sure he doesn't hit. Okay, so different job there. So as soon as that she extracts there, she's going to step back. A little bit closer here. Yeah. Okay, so here, bang, hit. That stuns her. Then we're going to go get the wrist with this left hand, get the wrist, drive the elbow up initially. So it's a bit of a lock here. She doesn't like that. She's going to try to straighten out that arm. As soon as that happens, then we're going to take her down. But take the hand down from pushing it up to taking it down. So there's a little bit of a flip with that right hand. You're going to avoid, whap, wrist, push that, make it uncomfortable. And then when she tries to straighten it out, then you're going to swoop that down. Okay, so this hand will change into a yahazu, which is on the elbow. Remember how we want that to be the lock? And we want to pull her down. So why does she go down? It's because I have this lock on her elbow to force her down. Okay, when you're going down, don't stab yourself with that knife. You still have it in your hand. Keep it away from your body, even though you have to go down. So for most people, they'll go on their knees first and then hit the chest onto the mat. But for a competition, you'll see that they just whip them down. And again, just don't stab yourself with that knife. Okay, so as soon as she extracts, up and then down. And then this is where you have the yahazu on the elbow, and you got control of the wrist here. Remember, open up the armpit because that makes it more uncomfortable, and then pressure. Notice how she went down without getting that knife near her. Make sure it's away from you, but you do have to use it a bit to guide yourself, your arm to guide yourself down. Go from the other way. So we're approaching each other here. Up, down, and lock. Release, release. Okay? Any questions? Do it slowly at the beginning. Take a person down slowly. The second one, again, we would be alternating. So I would be coming from this side here. She has a weapon. This time she's actually going to be able to step into the thrust. So she is trying to extract the weapon. And if I don't do anything, she's going to stab me right there. All right. So this is where she has posture. She's not lunging, but she is within range that she can step into the thrust. So when she extracts it, there's two things I should have mentioned before. There's a sheath on this knife. So what you see is the person put this hand here to extract the knife. All right. If you didn't do this, if I had the real knife with me, I would show you that there's a sheath on it. If you pull out the knife with a sheath, that's not going to be effective. So you got to hold your hand here to extract it, and then you'll be able to stab it. Yeah. Okay. So always hand here to extract. All right, Tai Sabaki again on this one. So as we approach here, as she starts to stab here, I want to get out of the way. Again, with your hand, fingers down, control the elbow. Control the elbow. So sort of deflect it away from you and downward a bit. Because now this area is open. Give her an uppercut. Now I'm going to come back to this hand and turn it into wakigatame. So I'm going to come underneath, keeping away from the pointy end of that knife, turn it into a wakigatame. Okay, so again, from the other angle here, let's do it a little bit slower here. Moving here, Tai Sabaki, punch. Here, come back with this hand underneath so I could turn it. Remember, we always want that bump up in the air. So if I don't turn it and I just try this, there's no arm lock. So after the punch here, come underneath. You got your U grip or V grip on the wrist, so that gives you the hooks. And turn it, and then get your armpit over top, and we're back into the application of the wakigatame. Remember posture with wakigatame? We don't want you to be leaning. If you have the sweet spot, it's right on the elbow. So just that pressure with your armpit, keeping it tight, and just lowering your center of gravity will give you the lock. Okay. Also remember the angle of our position. After we finished, let me do the waki here. Okay. I don't want to be back to the person. Remember the angle? I want to get that hockey stick angle here, this way, and then put the pressure down. Makes a big difference, the angle. So if the armpit is opened up, there'll be a difference. Again, her armpit's closed, narrow here, by not being in the right position, not effective. Partner, and do this one slowly. Again, the Tai Sabaki first, deflect, punch, come back to the wrist, turn the elbow, get the waki on top, and there you go.